My talent speaks for itself. I ain't gotta answer nobody else's question. I'm going home. We're gonna have a party. Oh, we're gonna have a party. Everybody dollar me. If they don't want to respect me, fuck them.
How you doing, everyone? My name is Ryan, and this is Ade, and welcome back to another edition of BoxTalk. The Middle Division is hot right now with the likes of GGG and Martinez, but two guys just under them, Geale and Matthew Macklin, are going to say it off mid-May. Great fight. It's one of those fights where you think, well, they both like to trade, they both like to punch. Who's going to win this one? Ade?
Very good fight. A fight that, unfortunately for them, is almost slipping under the radar because they're now it's starting, every match is now being made. Yeah. It's like boxing. I always feel like with boxing it's weird. Like in January it's kind of quiet and then it gets really heated in March and then April, May it's just gone. Yeah. And I feel like this is the kind of fight that's almost being kept underneath the radar. And I don't know why, because I think it has big significance in the middleweight division at the moment. I really do feel like they're both comfortably in the top 10 in terms of middleweights. Comfortably. Geale's probably 4th or 5th behind the top 3. Yeah. You could argue sort of Sturm. Now Barker's gone. Sturm and him. And Murray for that kind of 4th spot. And Macklin, although he's had a couple of losses, no shame in who he's lost to. You know, he lost to Martinez, he lost to Sturm. Golovkin was a bit embarrassing, especially what he was saying after, kind of a bit embarrassing, but he's definitely on the comeback trail. And it's a good fight.
I feel sorry for Macklin right now, in the sense whereas there's no shame in his record's a good record. He's a good record at 154, good record at 160. He's fought the right guys, which is always commendable. We always talk about having the right fights and the right guys. But I feel sorry for him in the sense whereas if he wins this fight, I find his options very, very limited in the sense. Whereas he's already had a title shot with Sturm, who's got the title back. He's already had a title shot with GGG. He's already had a title shot with Martinez. Yeah. Where does he really go? Does he really get a 4th title shot? It's kind of hard to say. Whereas even though I think this fight's going to be an eliminator, even though it's hard to say, I think in terms of boxing, Geale is the upside overall. Because at least you could put him back. He just lost his title to Barker. Barker obviously was injured and now retired. You can actually go back into a title shot. I don't think the power brokers in boxing are going to have Macklin back in there.
See, the thing, they're both in a weird position. Obviously, Geale's in a more favourable position. A, because of the way he lost his title. It was a close fight with Barker. A lot of people had it going either way. I kind of had it going. I like Barker. I kind of looked at it again after the fight, and I thought Geale might have nicked that. So it was a close fight. But if it's eliminated for Sturm's belt, Geale's already beat Sturm. So they want to see that again. I'm not sure. To me, the fight that both of them should be going for after is Kid Chocolate. Yeah, that's the fight they should be. And to be fair, Kid Chocolate should be going after one of them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want to see happen. And I feel like if it's eliminated for that belt, a lot better. If it's eliminated for Sturm's belt, nah.
Now, in my opinion, everyone knows I'm a Darren Barker fan. I've liked Barker for a very long time, post injuries and after injuries, and I thought Barker was by far the best middleweight in Britain at the time. So when he lost to Geale, when Geale lost to him, I didn't take it as a slight on Geale. It was a very close fight, but I thought he lost to a legitimate guy who I had in my personal rankings a top 5. So I thought that was a fair enough loss. Yeah. Whereas also it was a close fight. Also with Macklin though, his losses, unfortunately, taking out the Sturm fight, was a stoppage to Martinez and a stoppage to GGG. The stoppage to GGG is, as it stands right now, there's zero shame ends of losses. But as it stands right now, with GGG's current status, I mean, everyone gets stopped out by GGG, so it really makes no difference. But, like I said, it's hard to matchmake a fight together, knowing that the guy you want to matchmake with is in I would say, for him, it's a crossroads.
See, Macklin's going to look at his last 2-3 years and think,
I've done what I'm supposed to do.
I've done what I'm supposed to do, and B, he thinks he's the best of the rest. And he 110% believe, you see his interviews, he 110% believes the best of the rest. He looks at the other 2 Brits that fought Martinez and think, I fought the best Martinez. Not an injured Martinez, I thought the best Martinez. He thinks he gave Sturm the best fight, and he fought GGG when no one else seemed to be saying, I'll fight GGG. Yeah. So he's thinking, wait a minute, I'm definitely the best of the rest. I don't think he is. I think he's definitely 6th or 7th out of all of them. I don't think he is, but look, props to him for even stepping up and fighting everyone he fights. The problem for me that I have with Macklin in this fight is that styles make fights. Both of these two have exactly the same style. Boxing goes out the window after round 1, it's toe-to-toe kind of action. And I think Geale has a bit more. Yeah. Although I think Geale could probably make 154 as well, to me, Macklin is a 154. He's campaigned at the lighter middleweights. I remember the fight with Jamie Moore a few years back. He's campaigned at those kind of lighter weights. He's now up to 160. And I don't think his power puts people away at this thing. That's the thing for me. He hit Stern with every single thing you could hit Stern with. Stern didn't look like he was moving anywhere.
Who did Macklin knock out in his last fight, the first round knockout? I can't remember. He has got the power at the B level, but at the A level, it's not really there. And another thing with this fight as well is that when you talk about styles and they both like to train, they both like to tear up, Macklin hasn't had a real tear up at 160. He's had tear ups at 154. And when you look at him stuff like that, well, that's a Barker's not the biggest puncher either, but Geale was with him side by side for 12 complete rounds. The fight, so even though
he put Barker down.
And the Stern fight with Macklin, Stern weren't really trading. Macklin was winning the fight early, then I think he gave it away towards the end. Yeah. But Stern was not really putting on. You know Stern already, long jab, right hand, sneaky to the body. You know, that's what he kind of does. So it weren't...
Tucks up.
It wasn't really a grueling match in terms of Stern's output. So it's kind of a tricky one. But I will say this though, my hands got to both of them for both being top contenders, both willing to test themselves again. And I think that no matter what we said about Geale or Macklin, I think win or lose, I don't care. Both didn't get my handshake, you know. No,
I agree. I mean, a lot of the British fighters at the time, because I think there was a time when Macklin was probably number one of all the British fighters about 2-3 years ago. Were calling that Macklin. They still do. Well, Andy Lee does, and Martin Murray do. And he's always said, look, I'm looking for bigger fights. And to be fair, he does seem to get the fights. He's a crowd favourite. He gets the fights.
He's got Lou DiBella.
And Lou DiBella likes him as well in America. You know, he's taken the risk. He's gone away from England, the comfort zone, so to speak. He's took himself into America. Tough sparring. We know it's going to be better sparring than what you've got in England. And he's doing it. And he's got the Geale fight, so props to him. But what happens in the fight? What do you think?
It's a tough one to call. I'm leaning towards Geale as it stands right now. I think whereas I think Gill's motivation's on the high right now. Yeah. He had the tough, close loss, which he thought he won, which is fair enough. He beat Stern in his backyard comfortably, which is a high praise to go to Germany and win the fight. And with Macklin, like I said, I think he's in a good stage, but I think he's in a transitional period right now. And it would be a shame for Macklin to lose the fight and be considered a gatekeeper when he's nowhere close to being a gatekeeper. But like I said, if you look at it, and when people look at matchmaking and look at that record, you're going to see loss, win, something along that type of order. And all he lost were to world champions. So again, there's no shame in that. But he's at that stage where I think Macklin needs the motivation to push the fight and take it further down the line. If I was to go for a call right now, I'm leaning towards Geale, but I do think Macklin could win the fight. And I think if Macklin does win the fight, he has to fight a fight similar to the Stern fight. High guard, work the body, and when you finish, work the body some more, and then for the late rounds, go for the kill. But don't work too hard like he done in the Stern fight and drain yourself out. Because in the Stern fight, he slowed down a lot after rounds 8 and 9 because he worked so hard in the first 7, 8 rounds. He needs to get that balance in between outworking and dominating without going into overdrive.
Yeah, no, that's a very good assessment of the fight. I'm leaning towards Geale, and I think I'm leaning strongly towards Geale in this fight as well. Macklin is almost similar to a Paulie Malignaggi in terms of every time he's had to step up for that fight, for that one fight, like he'll beat all the B-level fighters and clearly beat them. But every time he's had to step up for that fight against the person. And look, he's had 3 chances. No matter what people say, people could say the Stern fight was close. Stern won it. If Martinez beat him, again, no shame. And GGG, what do you want to say?
No, go.
And GGG beat him as well. Yeah. I think Geale, for me, is that 4th/5th ranked person now. Especially now Barker's gone. I have I have Geale with Stern and with Murray all fighting. I have Macklin just below it. There's something about Macklin for me where he seems to just literally go through all the gears straight away. Yeah. And doesn't conserve his energy, and then he gets to 8 or 9, I think that's when we start to see him shut down. We saw it against he got shut down, and then he lost the fight for me in the last 2 or 3 rounds. Although I just feel Geale is almost like an energy bunny. He just seems to keep going. Even the Barker fight, he was going literally until the last second, and I think that's the problem for me with this fight. I feel like Geale, although they're both similar fighters, has taken less punishment in these fights, and I think has a little more left in the pocket. What do you think?
One thing I want to say, one thing I want to say about back with Macklin as well, which I think what people also forget about Macklin, is that his losses he had recently, the 3 losses, one to Martinez, is a Hall of Famer in my opinion. He's going to a Hall of Fame, that's a fact. It depends how you rank, and remember, Americans don't really give the Germans credit for Hall of Fame, but Sturm is a borderline Hall of Famer. Yeah. My man's had close to 20 defences and been a long time reigning champion from the mid-2000s up to now, and has regained the title 3 times. that is contention for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And the way people are talking about GGG and his current run, you could possibly see his name in the Hall of Fame in 10 or 15 years' time. So even though we're saying that Macklin has lost these fights, the 3 people he's lost to, all 3 of them possibly could be Hall of Fame fighters. So that gives some credence to his fought at the highest. So I feel a little, I'm sorry, I feel hard for him.
You know, I agree. You do get credence, and you get credence for who you fought.
Yeah.
Martinez will give you credence for. You get that.
Yeah.
Stern, definitely, in Germany, not an easy fight. It's the GGG one that ranks with me a little bit. And the reason it ranks with me a little bit is GG at the time was probably with Martinez was number 1. I don't care what people say. Martinez was number 1. GG at the time of fighting Macklin, although he was a killer, and we always say he's a killer, hadn't fought anyone.
No, that legitimised GGG.
Yeah, that fight legitimised GGG. Before that, on his record, there wasn't many names. And I look at how the likes of Curtis Stevens has fought against him, Rosado. Don't get me wrong, GG beat them, but it went kind of 7-8 round, both of them. Macklin fell down in the second round in that fight. The second round, you were a guy that's probably ranked number 6 or 7 middleweight, fighting a guy ranked number 2 or 3, and he made you look like he was fighting a guy ranked number 20th. Yeah. That's the thing that has made me feel like, is Macklin on the slide? Is he on the slide, or is GG that good?
I understand your point, but when you hear about the gym wars, you hear the stories about GG, about his amateur career, how he's been treating pro guys, how he apparently beat up Kovalev in sparring, you hear certain things. If the fights they say they want for GGG, i.e. Martinez, Ward, Stevenson, Kovalev, that makes him Hall of Fame in my opinion. If he won all those fights the way he's been winning fights. But that's what I'm trying to say. That if you look at it, you've got to give Macklin much more. Even though Geale's, I think, is going to win the fight, you have to give Macklin much more credit going into the fight, considering who he's fought and how he's fought them.
Okay, guys, look. So we're both going for Geale tight. I'm going for Geale quite wide. Ryan's going for Geale tight, but you never know with Macklin. He could step on the gas, and this could be a very good fight. But look, guys, what do you think? Who wins this fight? Former IBF champion Daniel Geale against former world title challenger Matthew Macklin. Matthew Macklin wants to. He's a 3-time world title challenger Matthew Macklin. He wants to step back on it again. He's not really off it, but he wants to step back on it in terms of fighting next for the world title against maybe Sturm, maybe Kid Chocolate will start calling them out. Don't hold your breath. Who knows? Who wins this fight? Is it Geale? Is it Macklin? Leave your comments below. Email us at
BoxTalk@hotmail.co.uk.
And guys, remember, for all your latest news on boxing, go to ringnews24.com. And thanks, guys, for tuning in for another edition of Box Talk.